Hey guys, you know the drill. Today I will be talking about Sam Raimi Spiderman Trilogy and why it is still great. Naturally, we're going to start off with the first Spider-Man film. It cannot be denied how much influence this film has had on me and many other people and on film in general, helping to spark the superhero genre as popular as it is now. I actually think this film is the best of the trilogy and is the perfect and better Spider-Man movie when compared to the others. I think this film captures the essence of what Spider-Man means to me, of what classic Spider-Man means to me. So I'm going to make a few points. Point one, the villain. The villain is over the top in one note, but that adds to the charm of the film, and you just love William Dafoe's performance, and he's threatening as Spider-Man. He works in this film enough and provides the needed threat and drive for our hero in this film. And of course, the origin is phenomenal. This film has such charm, such Raimi-style charm, and the action is meh, but still entertaining. Point two, this opens up on the charm. The tone of this film is great. The score is phenomenal, and so many other aspects add to the majesty of this film, including the humor, which I think throughout the trilogy lands a good amount of the time. Did I mention the score? Yeah, I think I mentioned the score. This may be the best score in a superhero film. It perfectly captures the tone and adds to it. I don't know how to describe it, but it's just this sense of wonder, magic, and it's just perfect. Point three, the filmmaking. It cannot be said how much work was put into this film and how revolutionary it was. First of all, it looks great. And also, the direction is fantastic. The amount of work put into each frame, each shot of this film is phenomenal. How there are just little crane shots for scenes so unimportant just to highlight the feeling and the emotion and just the style of this film. It's great. The production set and wardrobe design is also fantastic. It just adds to so much. It's not Breaking Bad levels, but it's such a mastery of this basic aspect of filmmaking and many other basic aspects of filmmaking that help to make this film stand out amongst others. Also, the cinematography is superior, and there's actual cinematography in this film that just helps with the origin, the emotions, and so many more things that are evoked with this film. And its writing, speaking of which, the writing is so sincere, heartfelt, and even cheesy, which just adds to the charm of this film. The writing helps this film be easy to understand but not on the nose, which is a great quality to have, and is part of the reason that these films are so appealing. Point four, the characters. This is a great origin story because it introduces everything that needs to be introduced about Spider-Man and tells its own story. It is the perfect Spider-Man story for me because it captures everything that I like about Spider-Man and everything that Spider-Man means to me. Surprisingly, I am not the biggest Spider-Man fan, but I respect the character and knows how powerful he is and what impact he's had on the world as a whole. I respect and understand everything that makes him great. But to me, this is the perfect Spider-Man movie because it captures everything as a whole. Or overall, and that's due to the fantastic characters and the complex situations that are set up in this film and that these characters go through. These characters are so tragic. Each of the three main characters have arcs set up and developed to a great extent in this film, and it's so powerful seeing Peter walk away from everything he said that he's ever wanted. Point five. This film establishes Spider-Man as the perfect hero. And the moment that I was talking about prior, about Peter Parker walking away from everything, that's what defines Spider-Man for me. And that's why I think this film is superior to others, because as a whole, unlike the other two, though the second one being great and the third one being underrated, I think this film captures everything as a whole and shows that Spider-Man is the superior hero and is just what superheroes are to me and most of the public. They're an escape, but are also grounded in reality that is deeper than we tend to bring to ourselves. That's what makes him the best hero, the perfect hero, and that's what makes this film the perfect Spider-Man film. Also, the pacing is perfect. I don't understand how every movie isn't a masterpiece, how every superhero movie isn't a masterpiece. I mean, you could tell that directors aren't giving it their all. They aren't having this creative flair, and some of these movies seem a lot alike. We are now fully into superhero fatigue with Marvel movies for each season and way too many shows. And they don't all stand out. I've loved Marvel, as I've said in other videos. Is my heart and soul is the first thing that I've loved since I've learned to love. But there's a level of laziness and tolerance. And these films aren't all phenomenal when they can be. When they can be like these. I'd rather watch every film in this trilogy over and over again every day than have to watch a handful of MCU movies that are bland. That handful being Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, and Black Widow. It's so disappointing and underwhelming that they can't all be like this, that they don't all have the passion behind the camera, because each of these can be masterpieces. I mean, you're making a film. That takes a big portion of your life away, and you should be giving it your all. You should make these films masterpieces. I mean, they should be like these films. Even Spider-Man 3, I'd rather each of them be a Spider-Man 3 than an Ant-Man and the Wasp. When a film has a director, has filmmakers that care, it comes out like X-Men First Class. These films, or Phase 1 of the MCU. And I love how this trilogy, and this film in particular, was able to kick that off, was able to do something different. Overall, I love this film. I give it a 9.8 out of 10. Remember how I said the first Spider-Man film is the perfect Spider-Man film, is the perfect Spider-Man origin. I stand by that, because that film captures everything that I think of when I think of Spider-Man. But this film, Spider-Man 2, is the perfect Spider-Man story. I knew perfectly well I was going to piss a lot of people off by saying that I like the first movie better and that I think it is the better Spider-Man movie. But minds change. I was still not fully believing myself when I said that. And I rewatched Spider-Man 2 and watched a bunch of videos about it. And while watching it, I realized I understood the magic of the movie, what makes people love it so much, why it is so great, why it is timeless, unlike the one preceding and the one following. This film is so much better than the first one. I mean, I can't believe I was saying that before. And the only reason I'm still including my lines of saying the first one is better is to make it compelling, to showcase how my mind has changed because of this film. I see why so many kids love it. I see why it was so many people's introduction to Spider-Man. I see why it is the perfect Spider-Man movie in many people's eyes, but that's not what I feel. I feel it is the perfect Spider-Man story. This film tops the first one in literally every single way possible. I don't even need to talk about the villain. The villain is fantastic. There are so many great shots in this film. It has the best type of Raimi charm. The action is fantastic. Just the shots of Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and how he just transforms into this monster. His development is fantastic. The relationship, the drama, the complex characters, all interwoven. Everything set up from the first movie that this film still sets up. The stakes, everything. This film is phenomenal. It does so many things better than the first one. And more. You know what? I'm going to switch the rating for the last one. I give Spider-Man a 9.6 out of 10. You see, Spider-Man 2 is so good that it pushed another film down, that it made another film worse. I finally fully get what everybody else gets. I mean, this film has a perfect arc. It's fantastically perfect for children. It is a great Spider-Man experience. It is a great movie. I see the magic. I feel the passion. I feel what they feel, or what I think they should feel, or what I think that they felt. All these YouTubers, all these people who were stunned by this movie, who think it's a masterpiece, who were inspired by this film, and that's magical. This film is great, and it leaves me speechless with so much to say. There are so many great things about this film. The amazing arc, the great character development, the great relationship drama, all the great poetic moments. There is no bad moment in this film. Almost every frame in this film is great. I mean, this film is just fantastic. It is the perfect Spider-Man story because it embodies everything great about Spider-Man. If the last one is the perfect Spider-Man movie, the perfect amalgamation of everything about Spider-Man, then this is the perfect Spider-Man story. I cannot say it all. I cannot say what everybody else has said about this film, but what inspires me most is the love. The love for Spider-Man from the people in this movie and the trust they bestow on him, the rejection and the rebirth of Peter Parker, and the love Sam Raimi has for this character. I didn't expect to give this film this, but I truly find nothing wrong with it, and it's magical that Sam Raimi was able to spread that love. I give this film a 10 out of 10. Okay, this movie definitely gets way too much of a bad rap. I actually like it and am entertained by it, even though there are some really, really dumb things present. I watched this trilogy almost backwards. I watched this film first, then the first, and then the second. So my viewing, as most would say, got better. But in my opinion, this film isn't all bad, or frankly bad at all. I mean, it looks great. There's a lot more action, and that action is great. I mean, Sandman's a pretty good villain, and I didn't think he was that stupid. The Venom plot was fun, and it concludes some plot threads that have been set up. So this film is pretty successful. Ultimately, this film suffers from doing so much and having so little. I give this film a 7.9 out of 10. Maybe in hindsight, the thing that I love most about this trilogy is maybe not the consistency, maybe not the charm, maybe not that I just like these films, maybe not that they're great. It's because they're simple. They deconstruct and reconstruct simple ideas and tell simple stories in simple ways that are easy to digest but have complex characters and narratives. But those complex characters and narratives are easy to follow because the film brings you on a journey that seems to be lacking from many films nowadays. And simplicity for its characters and its plot. These films are really watchable, and I advise that you go watch the trilogy after watching this video because it's great. And yes, I still enjoy the Amazing Spider-Man movie more than this trilogy, but I did like this trilogy more at a time, and I think the first two movies in this trilogy are better than The Amazing Spider-Man. Now that we've got that cleared up, thank you for watching.